Welcome back. This is Longmeadow Living History once again. And today our guest is Sally Mooradd, who's lived in Longmeadow quite a while.
Right.
When did you come to Longmeadow?
I was born here.
You were born here?
I was born here on Longmeadow Street.
And you've lived here your whole life?
Right.
Oh
well,
my gosh.
Well, I lived in Springfield after we were married for a while, but my parents were still here.
You know, that's so common when you get married, first live somewhere else, and a lot of people just came back. So why did your parents come here?
Well, their parents were here.
Wow.
They had the house on Longmeadow Street, down by the state line.
Uh-huh.
And my mother was living there when she got married. But then the Depression came and they couldn't leave, They couldn't buy a house at that time. And so they just stayed there. And
so you were with your grandparents then?
with the grandparents,
Oh, that's
right?
nice.
And then one of my mother's sisters.
Okay, don't touch your...
Okay.
Yeah.
One of my mother's sisters, she and her husband had a house in Forest Park. They lost it. So they
In the
came.
Depression.
They came.
So they came, wow.
They lived with us.
Houseful.
And then one of the other sisters died right after childbirth. And with their second, they adopted my other aunt's child.
Who did?
My aunt and uncle that moved in.
Who were living with you?
Who were living
adopted
with
the
us.
other aunt's children?
Yes.
Children?
Right, one child.
One child.
And so we all grew up together. And we had plenty of room.
That sounds
Really?
like such fun, though.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great. So you were down near the Longmeadow line?
Yeah,
the Enfield line?
Right.
Yeah.
Near, well, same side as Pomeroy's farm.
Oh, yes.
And Tabor's. Tabor's had a farm, too.
Oh, they did?
Oh,
Was it-
yes. Yeah.
Which side of Longmeadow Street was Pomeroy's on? The riverside or the...
No, the other side.
This side?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And there was, Pomeroy's. This is going toward the state line. And then Tabor's. And Tabor's proper. And then there was a great big field, which, is built now. And then there was one other house, and then our house.
Uh-huh.
Right? So we had a lot of places to play and...
It's great, all the fields and the meadows.
Right. My father flooded the front of our house.
He did?
Oh, every winter.
For a skating rink?
Oh, yes, every winter. And I remember that they used to pray. The kids would come from across the street, from across Longmeadow Street, and the Connecticut cars did not have to have insurance. And so...
Oh, my.
No, they didn't. And they used to pray that if their kids were going to get hit, it would be from a Massachusetts car.
A Massachusetts driver.
And my friend a Connecticut car hit her and broke her leg.
Oh, my goodness.
But they collected nothing,
Yeah.
But these are things you remember. We had good times.
Yes. So what did your father do?
My father was a die sinker. And... of course, and then he got laid off during the Depression. He worked for the town, was it WPA?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that, but
right.
Oh well, I think I do. For a while, and then of course, the war came, and he got very busy.
What does a die sinker do? I mean, do they dye cloth or paper?
Oh no!
Oh, is that that kind of dye?
Oh no!
It's DIE,
it's
metalworking?
Guns.
Guns?
It was for guns. Right.
Oh well, yes.
Right.
The Armory got very busy.
Oh
and
yes,
all the
they
support.
did. Right.
Yes. During the war.
Yeah, 7 days a week.
Wow. So you went to Norway school?
But yeah, loved it. Well,
Lovely little school.
it was only four rooms.
I know. I saw the drawings from back then, and Norway and Converse were exactly the same.
I don't know if, well, maybe.
Converse may have had an addition later.
Oh, well, I know they had an addition since I was here. But no, I think Norway was only 4 classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I think Converse was a little bigger. And the principal taught 5th and 6th grade. I went to kindergarten at Center. I took the trolley.
Wait a minute, you were 5?
Well, when I went to kindergarten,
You were 5? You took
5
the
years,
trolley
I think it was the trolley.
by yourself?
Oh, yeah. Well, it came right by the house.
I
It turned
know,
around
but-
at the state line.
I know, I've heard that. Well, still.
Dutchie and Charlie were the conductors.
Dutchie, yes.
Right? Very nice. Looked after their charges, you know.
Yes.
And, well, our parents didn't have cars.
You're right.
I mean, my father did, but, you know, there were no 2 cars in the family.
Right.
And that was quite a hike.
Oh, absolutely. It's
You
like
know.
halfway up the town, so it's like a
Yeah,
mile and a
right,
half.
right. And after, I think they had a
Still,
kindergarten.
it would never happen today that a 5-year-old would get on a bus alone, unless it was a school bus.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a school bus. We took the bus down the street. That was the only transportation. There was
I'm
a
so
bus.
happy to hear you say Down Street
Oh, yeah.
for Springfield, because that's what I
Right,
always heard
right.
it called, and very few people still call it
Oh,
that.
really?
I know. All these strangers moved in and started calling it downtown. That's so wrong.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Down Street.
Well, that's what it was.
Yes.
And then the buses went to Thompsonville.
Oh.
And turned around down in Thompsonville. There was a movie theater there.
Oh, so you could go to the movies in Springfield or Thompsonville?
Yes, yeah. Well, we were only allowed when we were small to go to Thompsonville. You know,
Because it was a small
Oh,
town.
right. And we did a lot over the state line. We had just as many friends on the Connecticut side as the Long Meadow side.
Children Without Borders.
Right. Except we didn't go to school with them, but you know.
So you started out at Norway, and then what point do you go to the junior high?
Well, I didn't go to junior high. I had to go to Cathedral because Cathedral started, let's see, we're through 6th, 7th, 8th. So,
You went to Norway through 6th.
through 6th, and then went to Cathedral. And there was a bus from Enfield, the Enfield bus, that if you went down to the state line to pick it up, they weren't supposed to pick you up in Massachusetts. They would take you right to the school. Because there was quite a few kids from Thompsonville, or Enfield, that went to Cathedral. And
So you didn't take the trolley in. The high school kids took the trolley in.
oh no, the trolley was long gone by the time I got.
Oh, sorry.
Right, long gone.
I've been talking to some old people.
Yes, right.
Oh, yeah, so the bus. What, Was that Dutchie?
Oh, yeah, Dutchie and Charlie
Still did the bus.
still did the bus.
All right, so they would take you right to the school. The other high school kids they dropped off at State and Maine.
Well, it was a different bus because it went all the way down to the center of Thompsonville and picked up all the kids there. And once in a while, if I was late and I was running, you know, they'd stop, but they weren't supposed to
That
stop.
was nice.
They weren't supposed to pick anybody up in Long Meadow.
Cathedral was then on Elliott Street in Springfield,
Right,
so it
right.
was very close to downtown and to the high schools.
Yes, but the bus would take us right up. Otherwise, we'd have to, you know, get the regular bus and run up the hill.
Yeah,
Right.
you were little.
Huh?
And you were little.
Well, this was junior high. No,
Sixth
not really.
grade, they're still little. in
Sixth,
sixth
seventh,
grade.
yeah.
Especially the boys.
Huh?
They're still little.
Yeah, right. No, but everybody did it. Everybody had to go to Springfield. I just went a little earlier.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So Cathedral was there on Elliott Street, and Tech was across
Right
the
next
street.
door.
Oh, it was
Right next door to the
Tech.
new Cathedral High School. We had 2 dog houses and a gas house
What?
and a grammar school
What do you
building.
mean dog houses, gas
Yes.
houses? What are you talking about?
Well, these were all different parts of the high school. They had a new building, and it was the Bevan building, and it could only accommodate so many students.
They had just back up from it, Cathedral had an elementary school
Right,
that
right.
went through 6th grade that was a complete building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So now they're doing a junior
And they
high,
had-
high school.
Yeah, and
they're
over
piecing it
the
together.
elementary school, there were 2 high school classes. There was a 7th grade and an 8th grade up on the top floor. And,
Speaking of school children, there
right,
they go.
right. But behind the Chancery office was on Elliott Street.
I can get the
And
picture.
right
Where's
behind
the doghouse?
behind the Chancery office, there were two family houses, and they had classrooms on the first floor and the second floor, and it accommodated quite a few classes there. So those were the dog houses.
Oh.
And next to the grammar school, there was a building, and the reason and that was high school too. But the reason they called gas houses was because there were, that's where the lab was, the chemistry lab and everything, and the Bunsen burners.
Bunsen burners.
And they stunk. They really did.
Only when they were leaking.
Oh, I'd give my mother, they had courage sending us there, really, at that time. It was terrible, really.
Wow.
Really was, you know.
But you were a kid. You had fun anyway.
No.
Oh, no, you
No.
hated it?
Oh, yeah, but I met some kids that I liked. I enjoyed, really. But some of my best friends are still my best friends. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Right. So, oh, yes.
And so you went to Cathedral right through high school.
No.
Oh, no,
I
that
was
beat
there,
you
let's
easy.
see, 7th and 8th. And then in 9th grade, we moved to California for a year.
Uh-huh.
And my mother and father were not happy. They were not happy there. There was no place to bring up their daughters. Bring them home to Long Meadow. So while the house was being built, which right after the war, it was hard to have, get the material and everything to.
Oh, so your family was going to build a house?
Oh, yes, they sold the big house. My grandparents had died since, And they sold the big house and moved there for a year, and then just to try it, and came back and built a house on Meadow Road. And it took a while, so I could live with my aunt in Springfield, which I loved, and I went to Tech for a whole year. Then I had to go back to Cathedral when I moved home, So then.
They tried California because it was like, California, here I come. Everybody
No,
wanted.
it wasn't that. I don't know.
knows? You were a kid.
We had relatives there. My grandmother on my father's side was there, and it was wonderful. My father could get a good job. Well, he couldn't, because it was right after the war. All the war effort was just dying down. Anything he could do, because he was a landscaper too. The Japanese, they had just let them out of the concentration camps, and they were doing that kind of work, and they were back in the high school. Oh, that was very interesting. It really was, and I was heartbroken.
What grade were you in?
This would be 9th grade, 7th, 8th, yeah.
9th grade.
10th grade. Yeah.
So when you came back and then you went to Tech?
Yeah, then I went
11th
for a
grade.
year and then finished up at Cathedral. So I was all over.
You were.
Yes,
You
yes,
were.
yeah. I was heartbroken when we moved to California. Lost all my friends. It was terrible. I had some great friends, and then all of a sudden, we're moving.
Yeah.
My heart broke again, right? But anyway, no, they were right.
To come back?
Oh yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh yes, they were. They were right.
A lot of people came back.
Right. We were supposed to, not supposed to go swimming at my sister and I, at different beaches. In La Jolla, absolutely, you cannot go swimming at La Jolla because they had a bad undertow.
Uh-huh.
And of course, we did. My sister got caught in the undertow.
Oh.
And I
All right,
tried
I'm
to
glad
get
you
her.
came back before you
Yeah.
killed yourselves out
Oh,
there.
right.
You came back to Long Meadow where you swam at the pump or something?
Oh, yes. Oh, oh, yes.
I've heard of
Oh,
that.
we went to the pump all the time. It was great.
Yes.
Yeah, Pat was the lifeguard, and she taught swimming, and yeah, right. We
Yeah.
went to the pump all the time, and sometimes we took our bikes, but if we did take the bus, my father could pick us up on the way home from work.
Perfect.
You know, it was
Score.
great. Oh yeah, yes, it was great.
Yeah, Longmeadow is a great place to
Oh,
grow
it
up
really
and a great
was.
place to raise children.
It was. The police knew every kid,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And if they caught you riding your bike on the street instead of the sidewalks, they would pick you up and your bike and take you home to your parents.
Bike and all.
Bike and all, right?
If you were on the sidewalk?
No, if you were not on the
If
sidewalk.
you were not on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a wonderful thing about Longmeadow, that kids could ride on the sidewalk. In Springfield, you couldn't ride on the sidewalk. They didn't like that.
When we were looking for a house, I would not look at a house unless it had sidewalks,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Sidewalks are very underappreciated.
These realtors would say, "Oh my God!" And if
So what did you do after high school?
I went in training. I went in
Oh, right,
nursing.
you're a nurse.
Yeah, right. I went in
So
nursing.
you're nurses training.
Right. So, and yeah. And when we got married, we lived in Springfield, and I needed. Well, we decided we were going. It was Longmeadow or West Springfield because of their school systems. You know, I had a couple of kids by then, and my oldest boy was cerebral palsy, and he was. He had a full-length brace, and his good eye was patched and everything like that. I was determined that kid was going to walk to school with the rest of the kids. So, you know, not only did we have to have a house with sidewalk,
Right.
but, you know, but where he could walk to school.
Yeah, not too
Right.
far from school. Right.
Right. And anyway, all of a sudden this house right across the street from Converse Street School opened up. They put it on the market in the morning, called me. I threw the kids in the car and came up, called my husband, got him out of work.
Yeah.
We bought the house that night.
Wonderful.
And then they said, oh, he couldn't go there after we bought the house and everything because they drew the line at Laurel Street, and we were on the other side of Laurel Street. And I, oh, really?
For Converse Street School?
Right.
Where were they supposed to go?
Blueberry Hill. By then they had built Blueberry Hill, you know. And so I said, I thought, oh, all right. I said, well, if that's the case, I said, you're going to have to provide my son transportation to school, back at lunch, which I love that lunch program because I could spend time with them, you know.
Right. They come home for
Back
an hour.
after lunch, right? Well, we were right across the street from Converse, so it was about an hour and a half, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, we didn't have far to go. And then they'd have to bring him home back after lunch, back 4 times at least. And if he had to stay after for anything they had to do, you know, at school, then they'd have to provide that transportation. I worked 3 to 11. We only had one
You're
car.
still working through all that?
Well,
Through the kids and the
well, no. I mean, you know.
on and off.
Right. I mean, that was
right
a
then
shift.
you were
that
on
was
3 to
my
11.
shift, right? Mm-hmm. Because my husband could take care of the kids after school. Nurses did that, right? Or they did work nights when they had little kids.
Yeah.
Right. But that
So
was.
did this school department cave and let your son go to
They
Comfort?
found room for him.
Really?
Really.
It was such a shock.
Yes, right. Yeah. And so then when the next one came along.
Did they? You didn't have another child by then, or you did?
Oh, yes.
Did they take both?
Well, no, the others weren't ready to go to school. He was the oldest, right? And then when the next one came along, they found room for her.
That was good.
And then another one, and then another one, and 5.
5.
Yeah, and they closed Converse on my youngest daughter. I was heartbroken.
So, like, what decade was this? The 50s? The 60s?
60s. Well, yeah, Yeah. I think we bought our house in '63.
Oh. Big families weren't as in then as they had been previously.
Well, where we lived, we were the youngest people on the block.
Yeah.
They were all older people.
When I moved in, that was a trauma.
Right,
Now
right.
I'm the oldest.
Right. But Dr. Williams's wife lived next door. They had kids who went
bunch?
to no. Well, they went to Blueberry Hill.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't mind driving and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Well, that was good and
yeah,
a great location.
But there were
and
kids that walking right by our house,
going to Blueberry.
going to going to Converse.
Oh.
You know, from further down, walking right down. But no, I didn't think that was right. Really, the realtors
Well,
should
anyway,
have
it was
told
good.
us.
It was good.
Right.
It worked.
Right.
It all worked out.
It worked wonderfully. You know,
That's
I
great.
could get them out in the morning, roll them down the stairs, throw them a Pop-Tart, and take them across the street. Not really.
Thank
but
you, Pop-Tart.
Sometimes. Then, if they were a little too late, I would make them cross in front of my house, and I'd get out there and stop traffic.
Oh, you'd be the
Oh, yeah,
traffic the crossing
oh,
guard.
yes, right. They couldn't cross the street unless they stand out there and holler, you know, because I wouldn't they couldn't cross the street unless the crossing guard was there. He wasn't there all the time. So they'd stand there and holler until we heard them. We'd go out and cross them. Yeah, oh, and today they will tell you how lucky they were.
Yes.
You know, they would. They would tell you how lucky they were, really.
They had a good childhood in Longmeadow.
Right, right,
Great school system.
right, right,
Across the street.
right across the
Neighborhood
street.
schools.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was very sad when they closed Converse and Greenwood.
Oh,
I think that was about 81. My daughter went to Converse, too. She was one of the last students there.
yeah, I don't remember when they closed
I
it,
do.
but I still resent
I
it.
remember because I bought
We
it.
still resent it. Oh, I know.
But they were convinced that the number of school children was going down. The baby boom was over. And I'm like, some of the first ones
They
are
weren't
getting married.
convinced at all. They needed the money for the almighty high school. This is what I feel.
But it was 81. The high school had been there a long
They
time.
needed my brother was the first kid to graduate from Mooradd High School.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, the first, yeah, the
To
first
go all the way
year.
through? Did he go all the way
He
through?
went
or
all the way through, right? I think he, the year they started, he was at Cathedral, packed his bags and went to Longmeadow. He was so
I
happy.
think 55, the first students walked through the door.
Probably, right?
But then the next year they took juniors or something. They let you transfer
Right,
at a
right,
higher level.
right. But he was the first.
But I think
he was the
class of
first
either
graduating
58 or
class.
59 was the first class that went all the way through.
Yeah, he was back. He came back for the 50th reunion, and he thought the high school needed to be either repaired or a new one. Really, I said, I can't believe you. To me, after going to school in Springfield, and that was a brand new school.
It was a new school.
It was. It was a brand new school. What
was
did
a
they
new
do?
school. Yeah.
Yeah. But so, I'm glad we moved back.
I am too.
Oh
You're
yes.
so helpful still here
Right.
at the center. You do blood pressures every
Oh
Monday.
right. But yeah,
You're still a big part of Longmeadow.
right. And I was. They put the cornerstone into St. Mary's the year I was born, 1931.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So that's all I remember.
What was
Everything.
your birth name?
Rivard.
Rivard?
Right.
Right.
And I can remember if we went to the library, and then we would go across the street to wait for the bus, and Wooden Steels was there, and they had
Oh,
penny
yes.
candy.
The penny
oh,
candy.
Lord, were we
Good butcher
I mean,
shop,
that
I
was
hear, too.
living. Well,
It
I
was
don't know.
living.
There was a market just over the state line, and that's where,
Yeah.
we could walk to that, or my mother would walk to that.
Can you believe our half hour is already over?
No.
It is.
Oh, well,
It is.
it was fun.
It was fun.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you all for watching. Thank you, and
Okay.
we'll see you again.